Hey, what's going on, guys? It is Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to our Eagles draft recap and grade. Today, I'm going to recap every single pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to grade it and grade the overall draft for the Birds. Let's get started. 10th overall, let's start off with Devonta Smith. It's easy to see why Devonta Smith is a pitch-perfect fit in Philadelphia. Devonta Smith and Jalen Reagor instantly become an intriguing pair for Jalen Hurts' tryout season in 2021. They can both line up in the X and flanker positions. They can also line up in the slot and be used in jet motion. The Eagles' weakness on the outside was a wide receiver who can beat tight coverage and get open. Devonta Smith is that nuanced route runner that can play all over the field and help them target the intermediate area of the field where they so desperately struggled last season. This is a guy who will thrive in motion at the next level, something the Eagles need to make a focal point for Jalen Hurts and the offense in 2021. Here are some stats to know. Devonta Smith set the SEC single season receiving and touchdown record, 1,800 plus yards, 23 touchdowns. He saw 117 receptions at Alabama and a catch percentage of 79.6. According to Pro Football Focus, Devonta Smith had 3 drops and 145 targets in 2020. And lastly, in his 3 seasons at Alabama, Devonta Smith saw 291 targets while only dropping the ball 6 times. I grade this an A+ for Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles came into this draft needing a number 1 wide receiver on the outside to allow Jalen Hurts a proper audition for 2021, and they nailed it. They absolutely nailed it, truly only costing them a 3rd rounder to move back and then to move back up again. Great trade. Home run draft pick for Howie Roseman in the 1st round. And then we get to the 37th overall selection in round 2, and that was Landon Dickerson, center guard out of Alabama. It's also easy to see why Howie Roseman loves this kid. Here's a guy who played every position on the offensive line at Alabama. This level of versatility has always been a major priority for the Eagles, and Landon Dickerson brings a significant amount of talent and toughness to that Eagles O-line. However, guys, this is also a dude with serious injury concerns. In the SEC championship game against Florida, Dickerson tore his ACL. In 5 college football seasons, Landon Dickerson suffered 4 season-ending injuries. He tore his ACL in 2016, he missed 9 games in 2017, and he was forced to redshirt by an ankle injury in 2018. Regardless, this is a leader and a ridiculous competitor, if healthy, and that's a big if. Landon Dickerson projects to be an instant fan favorite in Philadelphia. Here are some stats. According to Pro Football Focus, his career run blocking grade in the 2021 draft class was at 93.9 at Alabama. Penei Sewell, the top tackle in this draft, was a 94.8. You look at his run blocking grade, the highest among centers in 2020, and his blocking grade wasn't bad either, 19th best out of the 2020 class. I give this grade a B+. I love this selection for the Philadelphia Eagles, not only for what it means on the field, but what it means off the field. The Eagles are in transition mode. They need a leader on and off the field, and I think that's what Landon Dickerson is going to bring in that locker room for Nick Sirianni's offense. I love this pick. And then we get to the 73rd overall selection, round 3, Milton Williams, defensive tackle out of Louisiana Tech. If there was an Andy Reid pick, then this was it. It was a bit of a head scratcher considering who was available at the time at other major positions of need. In college, Milton Williams played in 3-man and 4-man fronts, and it shows he is comfortable moving all around the defensive line. This was a workout warrior, and he put up some crazy numbers during his pro day. At the end of the day, the Eagles had to inject youth and toughness to their D-line, and Milton Williams does exactly that. While he may be a little undersized, his versatility and ability to get to the quarterback makes him a clear fit alongside Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave. Here are some stats to know. According to Pro Football Focus, he broke the record for a single season win rate at 21.4%. He was 2nd in quarterback pressures by draft eligible defensive tackles last season with 30 and had the 2nd overall grade in his class of 90.8. He played 493 snaps and produced 30 pressures, including 6 sacks as well as 31 tackles. In his last 2 seasons, Milton Williams has produced 30 plus pressures, 6 plus sacks, and 30 plus tackles. I give this selection a C+. C plus for Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles. Why it's so low? I love the prospect. I just think there was such a position of need there at defensive back and linebacker to take a position. This was a luxury pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. Listen, I get the Eagles are in transition. They should be taking best player available wherever they're selecting. However, there are some guys here like Jabril Cox that would be day one impact players. I love Milton Williams as a prospect, but he's raw. He's going to need technique and coaching during his time here in the NFL. So I give this a C plus, definitely my lowest grade for the Philadelphia Eagles in this draft. Then we get to the 4th round, 123rd overall selection. That is Zech McPherson, cornerback out of Texas Tech. Zech McPherson went to Penn State before transferring to Texas Tech. He started each of Texas Tech's 12 games in 2019, totaling 51 tackles, 5 passes defense, while continuing his success on special teams, blocking 2 kicks. The Red Raiders tasked him with a hybrid safety linebacker role, which clearly made him an attractive prospect to Howie Roseman. He's versatile, he's aggressive, and he shows a knack for making plays on the ball. He was one of the best zone corners in the country last season, so he's clearly a fit for Jonathan Gannon's upcoming cover 2, cover 3 scheme. On tape, Zech McPherson shows the ability to jam receivers and play physical despite possessing a small frame. He's got very good speed, he's got ball skills and football IQ. While this wasn't the first corner on my list for day 3 at the time, I like Troy Williams, Tay Gowan, Rodarius Williams. However, the fit is very clear. You can see he has quick feet and his fluid hips, and which will allow him to thrive in coverage. He can play outside, in the slot, and even at safety. I expect Zech McPherson to be a rotational corner or special teams contributor in 2021 for the Philadelphia Eagles. According to Pro Football Focus, his 2019 zone coverage grade of 86.2 was 4th. He was the 3rd highest graded quarterback versus Power 5 wide receivers since 2019 of 90.0, and he was 4th in single coverage grade in 2020 of 85.7. Zech McPherson had a really strong pro day, including a 4.53 40-yard dash, a 41-inch vertical, and a 130-inch broad jump, and a shuttle run recorded at 4 flat. I give this grade a solid B+. I like this pick for the fact that he is a clear fit for Jonathan Gannon's cover 2, cover 3 scheme. You're going to see a lot more man coverage and a lot more zone coverage for the Eagles in 2021, and I think this guy can play outside, he can play inside. He's a truly good fit. Up next in round 5, we've got Kenneth Gainwell, running back out of Memphis, the 155th overall selection. Running back was an underrated need for the Philadelphia Eagles. Kenneth Gainwell was productive both on the ground and through the air in 2019 before opting out of the 2020 season. I immediately expect Gainwell to push as that number 2 option behind Miles Sanders moving forward. I love his acceleration, and he was a tremendous value pick here in round 5. We also can't ignore how much Miles Sanders regressed in the passing game last season. On social media, we also had that clip of Kenneth Gainwell completely depleting Micah Parsons, which, as a non-Penn State and a Dallas Cowboys fan, this completely sold me. It's not difficult to see why Nick Sirianni really likes Kenneth Gainwell. Nyheim Hines was utilized as an elusive pass-catching back out of the backfield while Sirianni coached in Indianapolis. Hines played a decent amount of snaps in 2020, garnering 392 snaps and playing 35.9% of those snaps last season. For comparison purposes, Boston Scott played 383 snaps and 33.9% of those snaps for the Eagles last year. Look for Kenneth Gainwell to make some noise in the running back rotation alongside Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, and Jordan Howard. Here are some stats. He was the only player in all of FBS to gain at least 1,000 yards rushing and 500 yards receiving in 2019. Against Tulane, Kenneth Gainwell posted the first 200-yard receiving, 100-yard rushing performance since 1997. And at his pro day, Kenneth Gainwell ran a 4.44 in the 40-yard dash. I give this selection a solid B+ for Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles. Like I said, I think the running back position needed to be addressed. This was a great value pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm very looking forward to Kenneth Gainwell in that running back rotation next season. And then we get to the 6th round, Marlon Tuipulotu, defensive tackle out of USC. Similar to Milton Williams, this was another surprise for the Philadelphia Eagles. However, when you look closer at these guys as prospects, it becomes abundantly clear. Here is a defensive lineman that brings a lot of versatility to the defensive tackle position. Tuipulotu is mostly known as a stout run defender with the flexibility and athleticism to get to the quarterback. Unfortunately, this selection shares a lot of similarities with Landon Dickerson and those medical red flags. Tuipulotu has a history of lower body injuries and has only played in 30 games for the USC Trojans. This is a guy who's 6'2" and 310 pounds, spending 4 years at USC. This is a solid prospect that Jonathan Gannon can work into his defensive line rotation. This was the selection that I realized that Jonathan Gannon heavily prioritized the defensive line for his upcoming Cover 2 scheme. Dan Brugler of The Athletic had him rated 69th overall and the third best defensive tackle in his rankings with a second and third round grade. During Jonathan Gannon's time with the Indianapolis Colts, it's important to note that he never prioritized defensive backs either. A lot of pressure has now been placed on the Eagles coaching staff to develop talent, which is an area they have shown and struggled with over these last few years. Here are some stats to know. He has appeared in 33 games in his college career, starting 29 times. Tuipulotu put up 15 tackles for loss and 8.5 sacks over the last 3 seasons. And this is the first time the Eagles have taken 2 defensive tackles in the same draft since 2006. And that was Broderick Bunkley and Lawan Ramsey. I give this selection a solid B. At the end of the day, it's about getting to the quarterback. You look at Josh Sweat, you look at Derek Barnett, who are in the final years of their contracts, and you look at Brandon Graham, who's not getting any younger. The Eagles have to inject youth on the defensive line. I was against it at the time of the draft, but now that I've taken it in and I've got to think about it a little bit, this makes a lot of sense. I give this a solid B for Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles. Moving on in round 6, we go to Taryn Jackson, defensive end for Coastal Carolina. The Eagles continue to address the defensive line by selecting Taryn Jackson out of Coastal Carolina. While he may be a little undersized, he is known for his high motor and plus strength and foot speed. He's good at getting off the line and showing good range and ability to get leverage. Taryn Jackson projects as that rotational edge rusher alongside Josh Sweat and Derek Barnett. Like a lot of these picks, the Eagles are doubling down on player development, which is a little concerning considering their track record. Taryn Jackson is a raw pass rusher with high upside that will need to develop his technique. Let's look at the stats. He was a 3-year starter, registering 195 tackles, 44.5 tackles for loss, and 26.5 sacks in 48 games. His 54 tackles and 8.5 sacks in 2020 made him a finalist for the Bronco Nagorski Trophy and a semifinalist for the Bednarik Award. According to Pro Football Focus, Jackson was first in pressures in the draft class with 59, third overall grade of 90, and 34th in run defense grade of 79.2. I give this selection a solid B for Howie Roseman and the Eagles. I think this is a really good pick. Clearly a raw prospect that needs coaching, needs to gain strength, needs to kind of build on his technique. But I like what the Eagles are doing, adding more and more guys in that defensive end rotation. I give this a B. Next up in the 6th round, a compensatory pick, 224th overall, we have Jacoby Stevens, safety out of LSU. Considering the need, it's incredible that the position wasn't addressed until round 6. However, given the Eagles' track record here, he was announced as a linebacker by the team upon selection. So Jacoby Stevens played safety at LSU, showcasing his ability to get to the quarterback and make plays on the ball. This is a pure athlete who began his college football career as a wide receiver. It'll be extremely interesting to see what Jonathan Gannon has in store for this dude at the next level. My eyes will be all over this guy when minicamp starts in a couple weeks, and how Gannon determines his fit and his scheme and how he develops his immense talent level. Absolutely, I'm all over it. It absolutely has all of my attention here. Here are some stats to know about Jacoby Stevens. He started all 10 games for LSU in 2020, tying for the team lead with 63 tackles, 6 for loss, and 3 sacks, while also breaking up 4 passes and tying for 3rd in FBS with 3 fumble recoveries. He switched his jersey number to 7, which was previously worn by future pros Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu, Leonard Fournette, and Grant Delpit. So that speaks volumes about his character and this guy's ability to lead on the field and off the field. According to Next Gen Stats, Jacoby Stevens earned the highest production score of any 2021 safety of 95 and tied for the best athleticism score of 97. So, like Milton Williams, the Eagles are doubling down on these raw prospects that have pure athleticism, and Howie Roseman are putting all of their chips in the Jonathan Gannon basket to coach these guys up and see what he can get out of their immense upside. I give this selection a solid A-. I think this guy has a really high ceiling, and I love the fact that we're pulling guys from the SEC. We've got back-to-back picks from Alabama in the SEC, and now we've got the LSU pipeline coming in by Jacoby Stevens here. Love the pick, A-. Last up, we've got Patrick Johnson, a defensive end out of Tulane for the 234th overall selection there. Compensatory pick in round 7. The hybrid players on defense keep on coming for the Philadelphia Eagles. Patrick Johnson was a defensive end in college, but like Jacoby Stevens, will be making a position change at the next level. The Eagles quickly announced that Johnson will be a linebacker in midnight green. Also similar to Stevens, this is a prospect that's adept at attacking and putting pressure on the quarterback. With Johnson's selection, 6 of the Eagles' final 7 picks were made on the defensive side of the ball. Here are some stats to know. Johnson was a productive pass rusher in college, notching 24.5 sacks in his final 3 years, with 6 forced fumbles and 39 tackles for loss. According to Pro Football Focus, he was 26th in pass rush grade of 85.8 and 84th in overall grade of 74.3. Only 2 players in all of FBS had 10 solo sacks. One was Patrick Johnson, and his 67 sack yards were 3rd best in the FBS. I give this a solid grade of B. The Eagles are continuing to add youth and speed on defense. I love this pick. Let's do our final grade, which overall for me is in that like B to B plus range. I am pretty happy about Howie Roseman's job here over the last few days. And I absolutely love the first 2 picks. I think the Eagles did a very good job of putting pieces around Jalen Hurts to ensure a smooth transition into his first year as starting quarterback. When it comes to the 2021 season for the Philadelphia Eagles, success will be directly tied to finding out what they have in Jalen Hurts. They helped their cause big time with Devonta Smith and Landon Dickerson. The biggest question remains on defense, where a ton of the pressure will be placed on Jonathan Gannon to develop some core pieces in 2021. Overall, I liked a lot more than I didn't, and I'm excited to see how these pieces of the puzzle will present itself and put themselves together this season. What do you guys think of the Eagles draft? How would you grade it? Was I right? Was I wrong? Let me know in that comment section below. If you love the Eagles, make sure you give this video a like, and please be sure to subscribe to the Painted Lines YouTube channel. Thank you everybody for watching. Stay awesome.